Hello, everyone. I just want to wish you a good morning, good day, or even a good evening to wherever it is that you're plugging into. And thank you for joining us with Amtrak Vacations, as we have a lot of great information we're going to share with everyone here. Now, as everyone is plugging in, I do want to let you know that we do have our own complimentary handouts here on the sidebar. Feel free to download them. One is showing you a few of our promotions and some of our vacation packages we're going to go over today. But another one actually shows the rail system map for both the US as well as going into Canada. So it's something you can have on your hands and kind of see where the routes are going. Now, if you have any questions during any part of this presentation, please input them in the question box and I'll be more than happy to provide an answer towards the end of the session. Now, this presentation may be more or less 30 to 45 minutes, just depending on the amount of questions that we receive. Now, just so everyone is actually getting used to that question box, feel free to put in exactly where you're plugging in from. I'm actually representing Laguna Niguel, California, so everyone else feel free to put in exactly which location you're plugging in. You know, during this time, we're pretty much all neighbors at this point, so just getting used to that question box. So whenever you have any questions coming on in the future, just feel free to throw them in there. Now I see that we actually have Kentucky, California, Idaho. We have some in, okay, perfect. Well, we have a full house here, and I see much more. Oregon, Des Moines, uh, Colorado. Awesome, awesome. Well, I'm very excited to share with you a lot of information today. On the last session, we had over 600 travelers plugging in with us, and on this session, we have 400. So it's going to be a packed house. And so my name is Baltazar Lopez, and I'm going to be your host for today. Now, what I'm going to cover today is, of course, life on board Amtrak, with, of course, Amtrak vacations. But we're going to be more focusing on not only the vacation packages, but more overnight rail journeys and also popular destinations that you can start considering for your next rail vacation. I'll share with you about routing your vacation from your hometown, as well as how Amtrak is actually providing a safe environment for your next vacation trip. So like I mentioned, this is the map that's right there on the sidebar. So again, feel free to download it during any part of this presentation, but it is only going to be available while we are live. Now, when you see all these lines and different connections, those colors are just representing the different names per specific Amtrak train. And we work with every one of these lines. And where you see the stars is where we actually have vacation packages at, where we have hotels, activities, excursions, and then the lines is where we can connect you from point A to point B. So we have a lot of questions where we're gonna maybe show a few Yellowstone vacation packages. And what happens if, say, you live in San Antonio, Texas? Well, not a problem. We would just connect you on those lines to make that connection all the way to Yellowstone National Park. So again, everything I'm going to go over today, majority I'll be saying Roundtrip from Chicago. As you can see, all the lines connect to Chicago, but we can route it from any one of the destinations of the Amtrak stations nearest to you. Now, just so you have an idea, what's been going on with Amtrak during this entire pandemic. And Amtrak has actually been operating throughout this entire time just thanks to these protocols that they've actually implemented. So, enhanced cleaning protocol. They've actually clean and sanitize the stations and on board the train on an hourly basis, just again to keep it clean for everyone. They are requiring face coverings when you're in stations and on board the train. The only time where you do not need to wear your face coverings is, of course, when you're eating or when you're in your own private room, say a roomette or a bedroom. Now, they've actually limited the bookings. So when you're traveling, the big question, how do you social distance even though they're seats back to each other? Well, they're only selling about 50% of their capacity. And this is allowing you to be able to have and practice safe distancing because there's gaps in between the seats between you and the other travelers. Now, a unique question we started getting was, is the air fresh on the train when traveling from point A to point B, or is it just the same air that's just kind of floating through the train itself? And Amtrak actually filters out new air every 4 to 5 minutes on board the train, and there's even a AC control when it comes to your own private room. They've switched to contact-free travel, so everything's e-vouchers and e-tickets. And then, of course, there are private rooms, where on many of the different routes, there's many roomette and bedroom options, as well as family bedrooms that you can pick and choose from. Now, when I say rail vacations, what I'm saying is that we do book packages, but we can also customize, where we can make the rail vacation round trip from your hometown. We can add on destinations, say that you want to see multiple cities, specific cities. We can create it, and we can even add on extra nights within some of our packages. We can upgrade you to roomettes, bedrooms, or different kind of classes on board the train, and we range from 3, 4, and 5-star hotel options. So if you want to take the whole family and get everyone together, we can recommend the 3 to 4-star properties. But if you're going for maybe a honeymoon, an anniversary, a special occasion, then we also have 4 to 5-star options as well. And we can add sightseeing tours, even some transfers to airports and port cities, as well as we have ferries and different excursions we can include. So let's get a little bit into the train itself. That's how when we go over the vacation packages, you can already start imagining what kind of class that you want to ride on for that journey. So first off, when you're packing for the train, you're getting ready to go on your vacation trip, you're arriving at the station, but just so you're aware, Amtrak is extremely generous. They allow 2 free carry-ons and 2 checked bags per passenger when traveling on the Amtrak. Now, that's great because that's much more luggage than most of us need. When I travel, I only carry a backpack and a duffel bag, so that's just 2 carry-ons. Now, if you do check bags, it's recommended that you arrive 45 minutes prior to departure. That's how you're in no rush to actually get to your spot. Now, what I would actually say as a pro tip is that when you're going on board the train, in your carry-on, just carry the necessities you would need. Everything else that you believe you may not need while traveling on the train, put it into a checked bag into the checked area. Because now you'll have much more space on board the train and easy to navigate through, so you don't need to carry a suitcase throughout the whole way. Now, what we include in pretty much all of our round trip journeys as a default is coach class. Now, coach accommodations is the most cost-efficient seat on the train, and it's extremely comfortable, where you can either travel by day or you can even sleep overnight on this class. The seats, they recline back about 45 degrees. You can extend your legs. They have space overhead for luggage and at the end of the car. Not only that, but you're not confined to your seat like a bus or a plane. You can still roam around as much as you like throughout the entire train, even going to the lounge area, the observation car, or even to the snack car in order to really maximize the time on the train. Now, the only thing that I do want to mention is when you're in coach class, there's a few tips when you're on board the Amtrak, where you wouldn't have access to everything on board the train, as in dining or showers. So what I would recommend, if you want to look more into the sleeper classes, you'll now have access to all your meals, as in if you get any roommate or bedroom, all of your meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are included with the class that you have. Where if you're in coach class, you would only have access to a snack car, which is pretty much cold meals, sandwiches, chips, beer, wine, non-alcoholic beverages, all available to order, but you wouldn't have warm meals. So when you think about sleeping accommodations, first off, the difference is you'll have priority boarding, where it adds to the occasion that you did upgrade on your reservation. There is a privacy door where every one of the rooms has a door that locks from the inside, and a dedicated car attendant. So this attendant is one per car, and they actually assist with any kind of assistance you may need, toiletries, bottled water, coffee. They're the ones who rearrange your room from just chairs into bunk beds, and as well as they're the ones who take your order for all the meals you would like while traveling on the train. So first off, a roomette class. A roomette is the more cost-efficient sleeping accommodation on the train. It has 2 seats that face each other. It has a pull-down table in the middle, and then a large picture window to enjoy your own private scenery. Now, during the evening, the attendant comes in to turn it into a bunk bed style for 2, and then every roomette has their own power outlets as well, so you can feel free to use the power sockets there. And down the hall, that's where the shower and restroom will be, while you're traveling on your vacation on the Amtrak. And maybe if you would like a little more space than just the roomette class, then I would recommend the bedroom accommodation. This has a large love seat by day with an additional chair with a pull down table in between, has a large picture window, and the attendant still comes in to turn it into a bunk bed style for two. But the main reason why a lot of our travelers choose to upgrade to bedroom is yes, for the space, but more importantly, the shower and restroom is actually in the room while you're traveling versus just down the hall. And you can still roam around the train as much as you like, where you can still go to the lounge car, observation car, snack car, where you're still not stuck to your room. You can still roam around as much as you like. Now, we also have accessible bedrooms. So maybe if you're looking at traveling, but you have maybe you're wheelchair restricted, or you may need other types of assistance, like oxygen equipment, then by all means, I would recommend the accessible bedroom where it's always going to be on the first level of the train, so no stairs required. And this room allows two adult travelers with an accessible handicap shower in the room for you. And then, of course, a refueling oxygen station. And then the attendant still assists you with any kind of meals that you like to order, as breakfast, lunch, and dinner is included with all sleeper classes. Now, we also have family bedrooms as well. Family bedrooms would allow two adults and two children, but that's it within the room. Meals are still included, but as for shower and restroom, it's only going to be for this class and the bedroom class. Now, as for the dining, they've really upgraded their meal systems. So they have everything across the board from chicken, beef, pasta, and even specialty foods like enchiladas. And this is all included with all the sleeper classes where you have breakfast, lunch, and dinner included. Now, a big question that I was receiving is when it comes to the dining car, what does that look like for travelers? And currently there is no dining car, mainly because when the masks need to come off and everyone's eating meals side by side, it's more prefer that they're actually delivering meals directly to the private sleeper. So when the attendant takes your meal, you can switch it up as much as you like, but it's all prepared on board by a professional chef delivered to you. Now, going into the vacation packages, that was all in regards to the Amtrak system. So when you're looking at these vacation packages, just start thinking of what is the class that you would prefer. And again, we can quote any one of these trips in different routes. So this is our Grand Canyon to Yosemite round trip from Chicago. This is a great way to be able to experience the Amtrak system, as you'll go from Chicago to Williams, Arizona. You'll stay overnight on the Amtrak. You'll stay one night in Williams to go to Grand Canyon for 2 nights. Then you'll go over to San Francisco for an overnight on the Amtrak. And in San Francisco, you'll stay 3 nights, where we'll have a full day trip to Yosemite National Park, a beautiful park to see. Then you'll continue over to Chicago for your last 2 nights on board the Amtrak. So you'll have 2 nights right at the south rim of the canyon. It's known in Historic Village, so there's great hiking trails. The historic village is small enough where you can still roam around, but big enough to still have a lot of activities to do. And we even include a motor coach tour where when you get off the Grand Canyon Railway, when you arrive, you'll go to all the major sites to see on the south rim of the canyon before going back to your lodge. Now, when you get to San Francisco, there's, of course, it is known as a walking city, but we still have a hop-on, hop-off tour included in the city. So a hop-on, hop-off tour really takes you to all the major sites within San Francisco to pretty much get a tour guide while you're traveling, but you can actually get off at any one of the stops and do your own exploring, and then get back on the tour bus whenever you'd like. So it's your transportation and tour guide all in one for San Francisco, and you have 3 nights in this location. Now we include a full day tour in Yosemite National Park, where the tour will take you from San Francisco over to Yosemite, and it'll hit all the major sites anyone would want to see while traveling to Yosemite. And a lot of our travelers actually add on an additional night to Yosemite, so they can actually do a few hiking trails like Half Dome Mountain, which it is a 10 to 12-hour hike, but you can do the first 15, 30 minutes and you can actually see a few waterfalls. There's water fountains along the side of the trail, as well as restrooms. So you don't need to go too deep to see the beauty of Yosemite. So this is an 11-day package and it's only starting from $2,249. And again, we include the hotels, the rail, the activities, and of course the trips on the train are incredible. Where you're going on the Coast Starlight, which goes along the Pacific coast, so you're seeing views of the ocean on the train, as well as going through the Colorado Rockies, where you're going from San Francisco to Chicago. That is an incredible sight because remember, the train is not going on paved roads, it's actually going on tracks. And these tracks are going alongside mountain terrains, through tunnels, over bridges, and sometimes viaducts. It feels like as if you're going on a tour, but it's your transportation. Now, another great package is our New Orleans Ultimate Getaway round trip from Chicago. Now, again, we use Chicago quite a bit because almost all the Amtrak trains connect to Chicago, but we can still route it from any destination that you want to start from. And so when you arrive in New Orleans, you'll stay for 3 nights. New Orleans, we have a lot of activities to pick and choose from. What we do already include as the default is our Swamp and Bayou tour, where you can see a lot of crocodiles while you're traveling through the bayous. A lot of great images. And not only that, but we also have a jazz cruise with a dinner on board as well. And we even have a sightseeing city pass, where it's an attraction pass that gets you into different museums, zoos, as well as cooking classes, just depending on what you would prefer in your 3 night stay here. Now, it's only 6 days from $1,039. And again, we can still swap out certain tours if you prefer. And the properties we have range from all over the town, by the waterfront, where the French quarters are located, which is the main hub for where you would want to be in New Orleans, and also a little bit away from the French quarters, as maybe you prefer not to be in the heart of all the action. Maybe you want to be able to be at a distance. So again, many different options to choose from. Now, this is our Grand Tetons and Yellowstone journey, round trip from Chicago. So you'll actually stay overnight on the train to Salt Lake City. You'll stay a night, then you'll go to Grand Teton for a night, Yellowstone for 2 nights, then back to Salt Lake City for your final night, to then go to Chicago for an overnight stay. Now, this package was more built around Yellowstone and Grand Teton. The reason why Salt Lake City is there is because we have a tour slash transfer that will take you to Grand Teton and Yellowstone together. Now, this is just an example of the views you'll see from the California Zephyr. As you can see, it's just large mountain terrains, and in some locations, there's raging waters on the outside of the train that you'll be able to see. Now, you're gonna have 2 nights in Salt Lake City. It's a big enough town where you can pick and choose to do different things, but this is more of your area to rest. But there's historic sites, there's different family activities, and of course, there's different parks you can enjoy as well. Now, your tour in the Grand Tetons National Park will hit a lot of major sites. It's a half-day tour. And so it's only going to be a handful of hours, but you're going to be able to see a lot of different areas. This park stretches about 310,000 acres of space, but you'll still be able to see some pristine wilderness, some wildlife going around. And so make sure you have a camera because, again, this is an incredible site that most people don't get to see all the time. And then Yellowstone National Park, where you'll stay a few nights. We have properties within the national park and then right outside the gate as well, just depending on preference, of course. And so with the tour we include, it's the Lower Loop bus tour. This tour hits everything where when you think of Yellowstone and the activities you would want to do, well, that's what this tour hits. It goes through the geysers like Old Faithful. It makes a stop over at Prismatic Lake, which is the lake you see in the top right, the boiling lake, and a few other areas as well. And sometimes a lot of our travelers will add on one more night to Yellowstone to do the Upper Loop bus tour, which goes more through the wildlife and the waterfalls area of Yellowstone. So this is a 7-day tour and it's only for $1,749. And we also include a 5-day mid-size car rental to allow for you to be able to still do your own exploring as the national parks are that large. Now, it's great because when you step off the train when it comes to our national parks, you're right in the open spaces where we pretty much all want to be at this point. But it's right in the open spaces where in some cases you're right across from the lodge itself that you're staying at. So Glacier National Park is a great example. This is our express package. We'll stay 2 nights in Chicago, an overnight going over to Glacier National Park, where you'll stay 3 nights, then an overnight to go to Seattle, where you'll stay 2 nights. Chicago, you'll have the 2 night stay, and there's a hop on hop off tour included in Chicago, and a few other tours we can recommend while you're in this area. And this is what it looks like to be in the lounge car on the Empire Builder as you're heading to Glacier National Park. So the lounge car is available to any single person on the class, any class. So you can be in coach, roomette, or bedroom. Everyone has access to this class where the chairs actually swivel and face out the window. So you can see all the passing scenery. What's very exciting is that when you're on the Empire Builder, it gives more of a Canadian feel. You're going through a lot of pristine forest while you're traveling through, so close to the border. Now, a big question I usually get asked is if the lounge class is actually available to everyone on the train, then is it usually packed up? And even though it is first come, first serve, remember they're still only serving about 50% of the capacity on the train. And during the busy seasons, as in the peak seasons, they'll add on an additional lounge car to accommodate the extra passengers. So I would just really look forward to plugging into this lounge car so you can enjoy all the incredible sights. Now, this is a photo from where you get off on the train and exactly where you see your lodge. So this is the Glacier Park Lodge. This is where you'll be staying for 3 nights. And we also have balcony views or just traditional options, depending on what you want to be able to see. But the walking distance is about 200 steps away. And then, of course, Seattle for their final 2 nights. You'll be able to go to the farmers market, which is a popular place to be able to visit. Seattle is a walking town, and then you'll be able to continue on from there, whether you want us to make it a round trip or stay in Seattle and then fly back. This is a 10-day journey, and it's only for $2,699. 7 hotel night accommodations included, 2 nights on board the Amtrak, admission to the Space Needle in Seattle, as well as the Chihuahua Garden and Glass exhibit, which they're right across the street from each other. In Glacier, we have the Big Sky Circle tour, as well as a 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise. And then in Chicago, we include a sightseeing architecture cruise, so you can really see Chicago from a different perspective, as in the waterfront. Now, I want to share with you, we do have a maximum flexibility offer. So we created this because we want to make sure you're aware that you can still book with confidence even during the unique time that we're in. So if you ever want to take any one of our vacation packages, as long as you make the reservation starting either today up to December 31st of this year, you'll qualify for this offer where any new or existing reservations with us, if you need to change your travel dates, if you need to cancel your journey, as long as we have at least 5 days prior to departure, we can do so without you facing any kind of change or cancellation fees. So say you book a trip in April of 2021, and it was going to go into Canada, and we were going to take you from, again, San Antonio, Texas to Canada. But then say the Canadian border was extended in their lockdown. Well, not a problem. We can just change your date to a later date, or we can just change the location you're traveling where you won't lose your deposit. We just allocate those funds to your next vacation. But again, this is only qualifying for reservations that are being made by today up to December 31st. Now, another great rail experience is our Grand Rail experience. So as you can see, it really hits a lot of different points across the US, where you'll go from Chicago to Seattle, Seattle to Los Angeles, Los Angeles to New Orleans, and then New Orleans over to Washington, D.C., back to Chicago. It's a full entire loop. And you'll see views like passing by Glacier National Park on the Empire Builder. You'll be going through Seattle where you'll have a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour. You're going to be able to see the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, while you're on the Coast Starlight. A lot of other travelers would tell me that they like to call it the Pacific Coast Hugger, as it hugs the Pacific Coast as you continue to head down south to Los Angeles. While in Los Angeles, we have a hop on, hop off sightseeing tour. Then you'll arrive into New Orleans. Again, these trains are giving different backgrounds while you're traveling through these different cities. And of course, we have many different tours within New Orleans, like the Bayou Tour. And then on the Crescent, which is more of the farmlands and the plains as you're traveling over to Washington, D.C. And then you'll stay a few nights here in Washington, D.C., where we have a Monuments by Moonlight tour, where when the sunset starts to hit, you start your trolley tour that will take you to all the monuments that are actually lit up. And even travelers who live in Washington, D.C. have told me that they highly recommend always taking that tour as it's exceptional. It just changes the perspective from everything. Even the day monument tour cannot compare to the moonlight tour. Now, this is a 14-day journey only for $2,199, including all the hotels, the rail activities, and all the tours within every city. Then usually when it comes to this package, I get a lot of questions where, can we do the exact package, just round trip out of Los Angeles or out of Washington, D.C.? And I always like to say that absolutely. Just let us know the dates that you're looking at traveling and we can email you over a quote within a few minutes over the phone. And we also have very simple packages as well. So this is our Washington, D.C. Ultimate Getaway. So you can kind of look at this kind of package as a framework or a foundation, where it's 4 days from only $479. We include the special Monuments by Moonlight tour I mentioned, as well as a multi-day hop-on, hop-off pass, and admission to the International Spy Museum, which the Smithsonian's are, of course, complimentary, but there are certain museums where they do charge at admission, and that's this one that we already include. And then 3 hotel night accommodations. So all you need to do is let us know where you would like to connect the rail from point A to point B, and then we can add it to this package and you'll be ready to go for your quote. Now, as we're getting towards the end here, I do want to let you know we do have discounts. So for anyone who's maybe have children, if you're a senior or military personnel, what does that discount look like? So for children ages 2 to 12, they actually receive a 50% discount on the rail portion of the vacation trip. Now, seniors, as in 65 years of age or older, receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of the trip. And then any active duty military personnel, your spouses and your dependents, they receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of the trip. So these discounts can be applied at any time at this point. So feel free to just give us a call and let us know that you're a senior, you're a military personnel, or even you have children traveling with you. Now, we do have upcoming training webinars, well, webinars more on the latest and up-to-date information. And what's very exciting is on the 27th, we have a webinar that's including a special guest from the National Park Service, where he's going to be able to share a lot about how we connect our national parks rail with their national parks. So it's going to be very exciting. We do not have this happen too often. So if you want to be able to hear from an actual national park ranger with how we can connect rail into the national parks and more specifics, then by all means, make sure that you're registered for October 27th. Now, I would recommend if you're unsure if you're registered, just give us a call. Give us a call at the number at the bottom of the screen, and we can make sure that you are plugged into that session. And on the 3rd, we have a private sleeping accommodations on board Amtrak, which is going to go a little bit deeper into the sleeping accommodations while you're traveling on board. But again, this is just always providing the latest and up-to-date information, especially when lockdowns are removed and more travel is available. We will always keep you up to date on our webinars, as well as any kind of promotions or flash sales we may have in the future. So I see we do have some time, and I want to actually pull up as many questions as possible. So if anyone has questions, now is the time to input them in the question box now. And another thing, for those of you who may be unsure about some questions, then maybe answer this one for me. Which destinations are you currently interested in? And when are you looking at traveling? Maybe it was one of the destinations or rail experiences that we showed you today, or maybe it's something like going to Alaska by rail, or maybe it's going to Europe or different parts of Canada or different parts of the US. Feel free to put your answers in the question box. I would love to be able to see that so we can kind of get a few questions going. Okay, and I see here, Carl, you're just saying that you have a trip in mind and can you guys customize it for us? And absolutely. So a great way to do that is when you give us a call, you can actually just let us know that I have a trip, but can you do this? And pretty much we always can. But you can let us know that you want to go from Washington to go see Yellowstone, but you want to make a stop at Yosemite, and then on the way back, you want to see the Grand Canyon. Well, that's not a problem. We can easily put together those vacation packages. Just let us know what you want to see. And even if we don't have it on our website, just give us a call because we can even customize a vacation, even if it means building it from scratch. And Alexander, I see you're saying, does the price include the bedroom or the roomette? So the price on the train is including the coach class at this point. And then if you want to upgrade to a roomette or a bedroom, well, then it's very easy just to upgrade that just depending on the date. There's not really fixed prices when it comes to that. It just depends on availability. So kind of like airplane tickets, when you get a ticket, it's best to book as far out as possible because that's the less it's going to cost. And if you're making a reservation about a month before you travel, well, then the price is typically higher, even though it's the same ticket. So when it comes to roommate and bedrooms, it's more based off of distance. So the longer you're actually riding on the roommate or the bedroom, typically the price changes. Or if it's a specific date where there's only a few rooms left, it can easily be much more higher or much more lower, just depending on the date. So when you call in, we'll be able to get the exact live price for you of what that looks like. And can I see you're saying, can you talk about trips to Miami area? So yeah, we do have vacation packages in Miami. We also have a vacation package to the Everglades, and even a lot of travelers like to connect over to Orlando as well as, a few locations a little bit more north, like Charleston and Savannah. So we have a lot of different destinations there. Typically, what it looks like is you're coming from north to south if you're going to Miami, as the Amtrak connection that goes from New Orleans to Florida doesn't exist anymore. Ever since Hurricane Katrina, those tracks were wiped out quite a bit ago. So it would always be going from north to south in order to get to Miami if you're coming anywhere else um, that's not in that area. Okay, so Carl, another great question. So does it make sense to get a rail pass if we're talking about 22 days? So great question. I actually haven't had that question in quite a while. So we typically don't work with rail passes only because you're not really having a reserved seat. You're just kind of jumping on and off the train. So what we specialize in is point-to-point tickets. So all you need to do is let us know exactly where you plan to see, and we can still get you on and off the train. We just plan it out. So instead of a rail pass where you get on board an Amtrak, it takes you to wherever you want to go, and then when you get off, you jump on another train. Well, these trains only operate once every 2 days or so. So you'll need a hotel night, you'll need somewhere to stay, where for us, we'll actually arrange that for you. Let us know the cities you want to see. We'll tell you exactly where you need a hotel night, where you're riding the train, where you can pick up the train again, and where you can continue on. And it's typically much more cost efficient when you're doing point to point versus getting a rail pass because it can be at a premium price since it's available for Amtrak. So we just prefer making the reservations and actual seat reservations versus just having a pass that's a premium price and you still need to plan ahead for hotels. Evelyn, great question here. So, can a pet travel with me in a roomette? So, a pet wouldn't be able to. The only pets that can travel would actually be a service animal. And so, a service animal that helps with mobility, that is uh, that is allowed to ride on Amtrak. So, Jack, I see you're saying, do you have tours into Canada to Jasper? Absolutely. That's actually one of our top trips that a lot of our travelers enjoyed traveling on. So we have a great package called this package is always on the top of the charts. It's our Canadian Rockies Discovery Eastbound package. So that package actually includes Vancouver for I believe 3 nights. We can always shorten it depending on your time available, but Vancouver, then a ferry that will take you over to Victoria, which is Vancouver Island, and then back over to Vancouver. Continue on overnight to Jasper, where you go right through the Canadian Rockies, extremely scenic. And there's a dome class on board the Via Rail as well. And then when you arrive in Jasper National Park, we have lodges right within the national park. And we actually continue a lot of our travelers over to Banff, Lake Louise, and Calgary, so you can still see all those incredible sites. So we have a lot of packages in the Canadian area. Okay, and I see a lot of questions about Alaska by rail. So yes, with Amtrak Vacations, we specialize more in the Canadian and the US area. We have a sister brand called Rail Bookers, and that brand specializes in more Alaska and international travel. So when you're thinking about Alaska by rail, we work with the Denali Railway system. So you can actually travel through Alaska by rail, go to Denali National Park, or even Fairbanks, where you can see the Northern Lights. And so a lot of demand for that, especially with a lot of travelers who had to rearrange their schedules due to cruises and things like that. So we do specialize with that. Just feel free to give us a call or give a call to Rail Bookers, and we can connect you to the right person. And Geraldine, I see that you're saying here, can you set up a trip with clients leaving from 2 different cities, leaving from Las Vegas and Philly to New Orleans? And we can do that. Previously, before I assisted with these presentations, I used to put together reservations. And is it simple to do? Yes, it's simple to do. Sometimes it's easier just to have separate reservations, but um, two travelers who are going to share the same hotel room in one destination, that's fairly simple to put together. All you need to do is give us a call and we can do so. So Sarah, I see you're saying if you book a trip by December 31st for 2021, can you cancel for any reason and get a full refund? Yes, in a sense, that's correct. So with the maximum flexibility offer, we've never had it before, just like we never had this pandemic before. So we created this so you just can book in confidence. So it can be for a trip in 2021. We can actually book trips out to up to 24 months in advance. So we can even go into 2022 and up to 5 days before you actually depart on your journey. If you need to change the dates or cancel the journey, we can actually do so. And it's a full refund of the amount that can be reallocated to a future travel voucher or even just changing the destination completely with no penalty of losing the deposit. That is the main purpose of it. So we can still help you travel without you feeling like you need to lose a deposit just by making a reservation now due to a lockdown. Christina, great question here. So if your trip starts and ends in Chicago, can you fly to and from Chicago? You can. So it's actually quite normal to us that a lot of our travelers want to fly one way and take the train back. The only thing is that we wouldn't be able to arrange the flights. It would actually be yourself or your travel advisor. And that's actually one thing I do want to mention too, where if you are currently working with a travel advisor or if you're working with a travel agency or you have a local travel agency, I'd recommend reaching out to them first to then ask for an Amtrak vacations quote so we can assist you with your agent so we can make your perfect vacation happen. And of course, if you have immediate questions or you just want to get a live quote now, then by all means give us a call. But a lot of the travel advisors, we can just work with your advisor so we can take care of that for you. So Rebecca, great question here. So any options from Los Angeles to Alaska? So only if you were to arrange the flight, then we can pretty much pick you up in Alaska, and then vice versa back. So we just wouldn't be able to do anything with flights, but we can do pretty much the land portion of the trip. So we can, just to give you a little bit of an extreme, but it pretty much answers this question. With one of our other brands, with rail bookers, someone actually wanted to travel from Chicago to New York City by train, stay a few nights in Chicago and New York City. Then they took a cruise all the way to Europe, and then from there we picked them up to go visit a few more cities within the different countries and bring them back. So we actually can leave gaps in between for any cruises or flights that you may be taking, and we'll just continue the trip all on the same reservation. And I see here, what is typically the price to upgrade for a roomette? Again, it ranges. Sometimes it can be a simple $100, just $100, and other times it can be $200, $300, $400, just depending on how long the journey is and how soon you're traveling. So I got asked on the last live session we had on when's the best time to book for a trip, and it's always the the moment you know you're going to travel to book the trip on that day, because the farther out you have planned, the more cost efficient the trip's going to be, which means there's more availability for roomettes, which means it's going to be less in price when you're traveling. But you can take the same trip a few months later, and then it's going to be much more in price because there's less space on board the train. And I see here, Glenn, you're saying, can we start and end in Fargo and not Chicago? Yes, that's not a problem. The only thing when it comes to a different station is as long as the trains connect. So I don't know on the top of my head which station Fargo's located, but I know we had someone go from Windsor in the US, and they connected over to Chicago. There's a short train ride that actually takes them from point A to point B, and when they arrive in Chicago, they still have time to take their next train. So that's not a problem at all. And James, you're saying, can you recommend stops in between? Of course. So that's one thing that our consultants specialize in. When you speak to our team members, they've been to all of these destinations. They know what it's like to be on the train. They're not just consultants where they're taking down information and that's it. They've actually been to these sites. They've been to all the national parks, all these major cities, rode on the Amtrak train, so they know exactly what it looks like and what to expect. And so if you ask any recommendations, they can give you a lot of great tips to do for your journey, depending on the time that you have available. And Jana, you're saying, do we have a choice of which sleeper bedroom? So I believe you're referring to which bedroom you reserve, and maybe you're referring to left to right or vice versa. So when we make a reservation, it's pretty much they're going to tell us exactly what seat you're going to have, but we wouldn't know where that's going to be located on the train. As a lot of questions I get asked is when someone's traveling, say on the Coast Starlight, where they're going along the Pacific coast, they want to have their room on the side where the ocean is. But we can try to put you on one of the spots, but then we don't know on the day of how they put the car onto the train, if they do it forward or reverse. So we just wouldn't have any guarantee of which side you would be on. So that's why they have the lounge car. So you can actually go to the lounge car and actually face out the side you would prefer, but then you can go to your room and enjoy your room, whichever side you're on. And Rebecca, another fantastic question. So any payment plan options for the trips? So I love that question because can you have a payment plan? You can, but we do not require it. So what I mean is if you're traveling within 60 days on a US journey, if it's within 60 days, we require the full payment. But if it's outside of 60 days, so say it's 3, 4, 5 months away, all we require is a simple deposit, and then we do not require the final payment until the 60-day mark. So the farther out you book, the much larger gap you have where we do not require final payment. Deposits can range from $100 per passenger and you're booked for your trip to $250 per passenger if it's visiting multiple national parks. And again, if you would like a payment plan, you can call in every month or so, every week, whatever you would prefer, and pay any number amount you like. Or you can just wait till the 6 day mark, and the card that we use to take the deposit will just be charged for the final amount. Can we start and end in Fargo and not Chicago? Yes, you can start and end in Fargo. You can start and end from any destination where there's an Amtrak train. So I'm assuming there's an Amtrak train in Fargo. If so, we can start and end there. That's not a problem at all. Well, perfect. I want to thank everyone again for taking the time and joining us with Amtrak Vacations. And just remember, our number is here on the screen, 800-268-7252. Our operation hours are Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And our website is great to navigate through, very easy. Shows a lot of different vacation packages that we offer. But just remember, it takes calling in to receive a live quote, which I recommend just giving us a call. I'm sure you'll be very impressed on the service you're able to receive from our team members. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you again for joining us. Everyone stay safe. This is Baltazar with Amtrak Vacation.